Well, you go out of your way. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we all know Molly Fly. I mean, she certainly looked better than anybody else up here.
Thank
you.
I
mean,
not a very high standard.
Must you say it every day?
Exactly. Yeah, I got to say it every day. Your neck cold this morning?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's cold outside. It's cold.
Y'all
What the hell
are
y'all
too
laughing for? Is it cold outside?
It is cold
It's
outside.
41 degrees.
It is cold.
I ain't shade. It ain't like I'm wearing this in the summertime.
Oh, man, please.
Are we ready to do this?
I'm thick, so I don't deal with that. I don't deal with that.
You don't
the
feel
natural
heat.
turtle
You don't
strength.
feel heat. I got you. I got you.
I'm a North guy.
We got it. You're a South guy. Don't forget it. The Cowboys, guys, are notorious for stealing headlines. Yesterday's breaking news was no different. So Dallas missed the playoffs, and many would have assumed after a riveting Sunday of wildcard games that it all went down to the wire. There wouldn't be much to say about America's team. Not so fast. The greatest marketer in the game, Jerry Jones, made sure all our playoff talk was quickly interrupted, announcing as news broke of his new coaching hire at 10 a.m. Monday morning, once again stealing the headlines and dominating sports talk on a very busy day. Usually people bury the news at the end of the week. They dump it, right, Max?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a problem with the timing of the McCarthy hiring?
Yes, I do. And I will tell you why. Naturally, I don't care. Whatever. Do what you're going to do. Everyone's going to do what they're going to do. But I remember A-Rod opting out of his deal during the World Series. And he was killed by the media. But he was a business. He was a brand. He was taking care of himself, killed by the media. The ego, this and that. Did we talk about Deshaun Watson yesterday? Deshaun Watson did it on the field. Deshaun Watson had a Marshawn Lynch kind of, I'm going to carry 3 guys into the end zone, and that was his second best play of the day. Then he had made 2 dudes miss who sacked him to win the game. We didn't even talk about him. We talked about Tom Brady for 5 minutes. The Cowboys took over the show, and that was Jerry Jones's point. I'm going to have them all talking about the Cowboys. But guess what? It's good for Jerry Jones's bottom line. It puts money in his pockets. But Cowboys fans, you're being used. He's using us, the media, and Cowboys fans, you're being used because as long as the brand is popular, everyone's buzzing about the Cowboys, there's no incentive to actually win. So what did Jerry Jones do? Has he changed his stripes? No. He went out and made a hire that tells Marcus Spears, former Cowboy, nothing's changed in Jerry's world. Why should it ever change? It's like the Knicks with Dolan. If they're the highest valued franchise, if they're selling out, even if they're garbage, why would you ever change? So good for Jerry Jones. He kept the Cowboys buzzing and in the same spot on the treadmill they're in. Maybe they make the playoffs. They'll get bounced early. Same old Cowboys.
Same old Cowboys? Mm-hmm. I'm trying to figure out why would you have a problem with that? I have no problem with that.
I know you don't.
It doesn't bother me. I mean, it falls right in line with who they are. Now, obviously, we have to have modifications because we talk about my buddy Jerry Jones. That's my buddy right there. Okay? I'm looking forward to seeing my buddy Jerry Jones in the very, very near future. Here's the deal, though. If you really, really want to look at it, the fact of the matter is that this should have been done a week earlier. It would have stolen headlines at that particular moment, not just because they're the Cowboys and the #1 brand in football, if not all of sports. But I think that the ire has been pointing in the wrong direction all season long. If we want to sit up there and say Jerry Jones should not have had Jason Garrett in there as the head coach, fine, because we all agree with that. But I repeated this yesterday. Knowing that Jason Garrett was still your coach, knowing you had a first-year offensive coordinator, knowing that Dak Prescott was looking to play for a new contract, knowing that Ezekiel Elliott was in Cabo, all right, training because you hadn't agreed to his money, knowing you had paid Jalen Smith, knowing that Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith was supposed to be that dynamic duo, but in the same breath, there were still question marks about the rest of their defense, particularly their secondary. Knowing all of this, folks picked the Dallas Cowboys to go to the Super Bowl, to represent the NFC, or at the very least, get to the conference championship game. I am sick and tired of people pointing the finger at Jerry about this year. This year right here is not on Jerry. You look at this roster, you knew what you had coming into the season, and people still picked them. Unless somebody can come to me and say that Jerry Jones instructed Jason Garrett not to give Ezekiel Elliott the ball, not to target Amari Cooper on 4th and 8s, not to sit up there and get these guys the football after Jerry Jones had paid money to them. Unless somebody comes to me with proof, positive evidence that Jerry Jones did that, this is about Jason Garrett, who needed to be fired. He was fired. And as far as I'm concerned, I have no issue with Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys today whatsoever.
No, it's about Jerry Jones because of what you just said. Jerry Jones and what Max been hollering. Jerry Jones should have fired Jason Garrett a year ago. And the reasons that you just pointed out is the reason why this is Jerry Jones. Stephen A., you and I sat here and talked about the relationship is the reason that Jason Garrett is still the head coach. Okay. I understand what you're saying about the football aspect on the field in that moment in time, play calling. But was that different than what we watched the last 3 years? Was it any different than what we've been discussing about Jason Garrett and the job that he does?
When did you stop playing for the Cowboys?
2013.
Do you realize that I've been calling for Jason Garrett to be fired since 2012?
That's my point, Stephen A. Who makes that decision?
I understand that.
That's where I'm going with this. So we can talk about this year in particular, but that has already evolved over the time you've been talking about.
But what I'm saying, where you and I disagree and we part ways, if you sat up there and had to do suicides, right?
Right.
And somebody sat up there and said, you know what, Marcus is gonna beat Max in a suicide run, okay?
Which I would.
All right. Well, I'm just saying. Let's say for example, you like that
true.
big dude in the MMA that got that lifetime contract with Popeyes and somebody picking him to win, which is ridiculous. What the hell you picked him to win for? You didn't know he had the contract with Popeyes?
Yeah.
If I know you sitting there stuffing your face with fried chicken before you go into the octagon, what the hell you pick him for?
No question.
That's what I'm trying to say. So in other words, you can sit up there and point to the person that put him in the octagon, and you can sit up there and say, what the hell should he have been in the ring to begin with? But what I'm saying is, if you knew that beforehand and you still picked them, that's on you.
But why
that's
is
on
it?
You.
Hold on. But really, the essence of this question is Jerry Jones stole everyone's thunder. We're not talking about the actual players on the field in playoff games doing heroic, amazing things.
But that to me is Jerry Jones doing his job.
But no,
that's not him doing his job.
Stay right there. That's my point. If his job, to look after his bottom line, Cowboys fans need to know this.
Yes, that's right.
Jerry Jones does not care about you if you're a Cowboys fan. He cares about his bottom line. So it doesn't matter if they don't make the playoffs because he will figure out a way to keep Dallas buzzing.
That's a blasphemous statement. I'm not going to accuse my buddy Jerry Jones of not caring about those Cowboys fans.
But look what he did.
I think he cares very much about them.
7-win season, nothing will ever change because I got this. Don't worry. I'm going to still keep our name in the news. I'm going to still keep the brand tight. I'm going to still keep the money pouring in. But what about the product on the field?
Max, and that's the conundrum. I don't agree. I was in that organization. Jerry wants to win bad. But the problem is what you see. Your point.
He thinks he knows best.
He thinks he knows best. And when you look at it, when you're not a guy, it's just like in our house with our family. People will point and say, oh, no, you're doing that wrong. You could be a lot better off if you did these particular things.
No, he doesn't.
As it pertains to Jerry, I ask a question to both of y'all here. Let me quiz y'all here. Let me play a little Jeopardy with y'all right now. What's the worst thing that happened to the Dallas Cowboys as it pertains to what we're saying about Jerry Jones? As it pertains to what we're saying about Jerry Jones, what's the worst moment that happened to the Dallas Cowboys in the last 25, 30 years?
The worst moment?
Are you ready for this?
You're going to say Jimmy Johnson winning the Super Bowl?
Barry Switzer
winning the Super Bowl.
Because when he got rid of Jimmy Johnson, and then Barry Switzer came and won, it invalidated Jerry.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah, right, even though he won with Jimmy Johnson's team.
Doesn't matter.
I know you guys aren't high on the Mike McCarthy hiring. What do you think of him potentially hiring Mike Nolan as the defensive coordinator and keeping Kellen Moore? We don't know if that was Mike McCarthy's decision or Jerry pressuring him to do so.
There was a quote come out of Dallas. I think Ed Werder reported that he was giving Mike McCarthy the liberty to hire his guys. Now, they would try to promote Kellen Moore and tell him Kellen Moore was a really good offensive coordinator. But at the same time, Molly, it's not that I'm not high on Mike McCarthy's hire. I'm not ecstatic through the roof. I don't think it's a terrible hire. All I've been saying since yesterday, if you're going to hire Mike McCarthy, give him the opportunity to delegate and put people in position that's going to put this team in a better position to win.
Even though their offense was successful this year.
They 8-8. They finished 8-8.
Yeah, but in terms of ranks compared to other teams.
But their
offense didn't seem to be the problem, although Dak's development, especially against good teams, maybe.
It's a problem when you in that that statement you just made, that's the problem. Because Matthew Stafford been throwing for 5,000 yards for a long time in Detroit. Ain't won that. So it's winning.
Real quick, Jerry Jones doesn't think he knows best. It's what he said about Aikman. Remember what Aikman said? And Jerry's response was, I'm quite sure if you own the Cowboys, you do the same thing. In other words, he gets to play with his toy the way he wants to. He owns the Cowboys. And we'd all do the same thing if we owned our favorite franchise, right? That doesn't mean he knows best. It means, damn it, I'm going to do it this way anyway.
I think, last point, I think that y'all are not giving Jerry Jones enough credit. And I'm serious about this, and here's why. He wanted to draft Johnny Manziel. Stephen Jones talked him out of it.
Absolutely.
When Stephen Jones talked him out of it, remember how, I forget whether it was Edward or somebody else pointed out how offended Stephen Jones was because Jerry said, you got to take chances. You know, he got on his own son about it, but he still listened to him. We're acting like Jerry Jones doesn't listen. If you're forceful enough and you know what the hell you're talking about,
is that Mike McCarthy?
Jerry Jones might listen
Is that
to you.
Mike McCarthy?
I don't know.
We'll see.
That's exactly my point, Stephen.
Okay.
It's exactly my point.
We'll see what Mike McCarthy can also do with Dak Prescott, whether they franchise him or not. We heard Brett Favre speak.